Alaskans, wherever you are, welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Welcome, everybody, to the Must Read Alaska Show. I'm your host, John Quick, coming to you live from somewhere in Alaska. And man, we got about 3 days of summer so far, which is awesome. I'm hoping for a couple more. It's been a little rainy, but we'll take 3 days when we can get them. We have a very special guest today, somebody who is on MasterChef and who lives in our very own state, Lizzie Hartman. Welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. So for folks, they won't see the video, but Lizzie's actually also making food while she's doing the interview. It's the first time on the Must Read Alaska Show this has happened.
We got to multitask.
I love it. So Lizzie, you are a private chef. You're one of probably the most popular chefs in Alaska. Tell me about how you first started out in this field. I think probably most people like food, but it's a whole nother thing to make it their profession.
Yeah. Well, when I was 15 and we moved to Alaska, obviously that's a big change for a teenager. It was a very rough move for me. I didn't want to be here. It rained the entire first summer that we got here. So pretty tough. I was in a pretty tough place. My mom was also working full time. My dad worked full time. So it kind of became my job to make sure dinner was on the table when they got home. So I kind of fell into cooking through that, but I realized that I loved it, and I realized that I was okay, I was good at it. So I started watching, all the YouTube Gordon Ramsey clips I could find. I taught myself how to cook. I would go to Barnes and Nobles here in Fairbanks and just spend hours in the cookbook section, writing down recipes I probably shouldn't have been. But through that, I taught myself how to cook. And I found out that through learning how to cook, I was able to connect with my community. I was able to meet other little girls in my area. I was able to make friends. I was able to kind of build my own little bubble of people through food. And I ended up hosting my own little contest at my house. We would make dishes, and then we would put them on my dad's Facebook for all of our family and friends to judge.
That's awesome.
So it was just a really great way for me to kind of get out of the depression I was in as a teenager.
So this last year you auditioned for MasterChef. For folks that maybe have been living under a rock, MasterChef is probably the biggest food competition show that exists out there. The Gordon Ramsey is kind of the big name of it. It's on Fox. I think it's got 13 seasons under its belt. It's a pretty phenomenal show. Think American Idol, but for cooking. And talk to me about this audition. So you sent in your tape, for folks that haven't seen us, walk us through that, moment of, okay, I'm going to throw myself out there. I'm going to send my audition tape in. What am I going to cook? What am I going to do? Walk us through that moment.
Yeah. It all kind of happened kind of fast at the very end of their audition process. I sent in the video. You don't really think much is gonna come of it. The show is actually something me and my son. So during the winter, I do a lot of cooking, and I'll have, a TV show playing just to kind of keep my mind happy while I'm cooking. And my son will just stand by the counter and he'll watch the shows with me. But MasterChef is one we always watch. And we sent the tape in, and I heard back very quickly that they were interested, and the whole process just kind of got started from there. So that was wild. You don't think that that's actually going to happen. And it did, and it went well.
So when they call you, do you think like somebody's playing a prank on you, like your best friends, like tricking you, or
Pretty
like
much.
what was that moment like? Because somebody had to call you and say, "Hey, listen, you're awesome, you're epic, your food's amazing, you got a great personality. you get all these kudos, and it's probably, not everybody gets to have those calls.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was 40 below here this winter. When I got the call, I was in the car with my dad. My son was in the back. He was screaming. So I see that my call is from California, and I'm like, oh, this is it. So my dad pulls over and I hop out of the car. It's 40 below. It was the coldest day this winter. And I'm standing outside, and that's when they tell me, hey, you're coming down to California. So that was a very surreal moment that I can't forget, just due to them calling and how cold it was outside and what was happening in the car. There was a lot going on in that moment.
That's awesome. So you get on the show, and probably the clip that everybody's seen is you made a halibut dish, and
Yeah.
it got judged, by all the judges, just like it normally does. But what made you choose that dish? It's kind of obviously Alaskan-ish, bringing some
Yeah.
Alaska flavor to the MasterChef competition. Talk to us about why you chose that dish.
Yes. It wasn't my original thought. Originally I turned in something else that I was thinking I was going to do. But I went to my chef who I went to culinary school with years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. He was doing a gourmet cooking class, and I showed up to that. And he was teaching us how to compose a dish pretty much. And he was saying, you can have a protein and you can have your veggie, and he was kind of showing us how to plate it and all these things, and he did halibut. And that night I got an email that said, send us, something a little more hometown oriented, and I was like, well, I mean, that's as hometown as it gets. So we sent the halibut in, and what I love about the dish was that it's kind of ingredients that you're able to get in Fairbanks all year long, mushrooms, cauliflower, halibut. It's basic, it's simple, yet it's very elegant, and when executed well, it's an incredible dish. So I love that it's just something that I could always get here at the store.
So you know, the moment, the clip that I've seen, it's like there's no dry eye in the room kind of a clip. You the judges all taste it, and you obviously don't really know what they're going to say, because if it's horrible, they're going to play up the fact that it's horrible. If it's good, they're going
Yeah,
to play up the fact that it's good. You take a big risk by putting your artwork out there, essentially, for them to judge.
yeah.
Talk to us about what it felt like for to get their reactions, and for folks that haven't seen it, tell us about what their reactions were.
Yeah, the reactions blew me away. I was cooking with some incredible chefs. I mean, every person that was there auditioning, the ones you saw, the ones you didn't see. I mean, they are people at the top of their game. So I felt I felt a little out of place. So I honestly didn't expect that reaction. And when that happened, when they told me they loved it, when they gave me those accolades, especially hearing from Joe, he was the one I was most nervous about, and I truly expected him to maybe not like it, because that's kind of what happens. So to hear them say how much they loved it was just really, really special, and it was just a genuine emotion that you were seeing on my face, and a genuine shock that was actually happening.
It's like the golden buzzer moment on
Yeah.
so congrats to you. I think that's pretty awesome. So what you got the apron. So what does that mean?
Yes.
Does that mean that you're top 20 when you get the apron? Tell us about what that is.
Yeah. There were thousands who sent in videos. There was a lot that went down to actually audition. There was a good number that actually made it to live auditions. And then to finally make it to that top 20, that was incredible. So that means that, I was in the competition.
That's pretty awesome. So, what was more intense? Every year there's a bathtub race in Fairbanks. Was it more intense judging the bathtub race or being on MasterChef?
I definitely slipped into my Gordon persona as I was judging these bathtub races here in Fairbanks. It felt like, oh, this feels good to sit on the other side. Yeah, I liked it.
So, where can people find? There's going to be tons of folks, especially in Alaska, that listen to this week,
Yeah.
that are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, there's somebody from Alaska on MasterChef. I have to watch this." where can they tune in and see, the next episodes and all that?
Yes. So it's 7 o'clock on Fox here in Alaska, on the local Fox station, and then next day on Hulu. And then if you follow me at Alaska Lizzie on all the different social media platforms, I'll be posting reminders and updates about the show.
Awesome. So, taking your Fox News hat off, let's talk for a second about your tour that you're doing. You're doing a
Yeah.
flower, some kind of flower tour. I saw on your Instagram, which looks
Yes.
awesome. You got a school bus, you got flowers, you got happy people. Talk to us about
Yes.
that and where people can get information about that because it looks awesome.
Yes. So my first love is small business here in Fairbanks. I'm obsessed with the small businesses in Alaska. I am truly passionate about each one of them and their story and how they make Alaska a better place. So a few years ago, I started doing small business tours. They started off for free. I was packing a school bus that a church let me borrow or rent from them, and we would pack that bus out and we would just hit all the stores in town, so that way ladies or men who don't know about certain businesses, like they could be introduced to them. But my most recent one is there is two sisters here in town and they own a peony patch out in North Pole. They also own a gift shop in Fairbanks. So we're wanting to highlight them and to drive some more people into their store. So we're going to visit their store. We're going to visit the peony patch. I'm cooking. I'm making cakes and charcuterie cups. So it's just going to be a great experience for everyone. We sold out in under 12 hours.
Wow.
So be watching for the next small business tour because we've got a lot
Congrats.
of fun ones. Thank
That's pretty
you.
exciting. So last question to you is this, Lizzie. What advice would you give somebody that's, you know, 10, 11, 12 that maybe was in your shoes 10 years ago? Maybe they were sitting in Alaska in a small town and it's raining for 6 months and then it's winter for 6 months and they maybe feel like, what am I going to do with my life? What
Yeah.
advice would you give them? Because you figured out how to pull yourself up from your bootstraps and make a run at it and become successful, and others can too, but oftentimes they need that story or that little piece of motivation to help them get to the next level.
Yeah. Um, I found my success and my joy through serving others through food. And what I would tell any, 11 or 12 or 13-year-old that's struggling with maybe some of that same seasonal depression is cooking is the easiest way to serve your community. And through that, you feel better. You can't help but feel better. There is all kinds of organizations that would love some homemade cupcakes dropped off or some cookies. And that's just the easiest way to start. Buy yourself a pack of um, cookie mix from the store, make it up, and go to your local nonprofits here in town or your local schools and pass them out. And it will truly change your entire perspective. Start small, and from there, opportunities will just start to come. And it's just the best way to feel better about living in Alaska, maybe when days are a little dark.
Awesome. Well, any last minute thoughts here before we head off?
Well, just thank you so much, and thank you for what you do for Alaska, and just for sharing and letting other people share. So I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, we wish you nothing but success. I hope you win the whole darn thing. And
Thank you.
folks, you can tune in to MasterChef. I believe you said Wednesdays at 7 here on Fox
Yes.
News in Alaska. We'll put a
Yep.
link to the show in the podcast description. I'll put Lizzie's social media stuff in the podcast description as well. And again, we hope you win it here. We'll be rooting for you. And Fox, you got to take a look at this because everybody loves a small town story. So we hope that Lizzie does really, really good. And until next time, I'm John Quick from somewhere in Alaska. Thank you.
Thank you.